So it's another Friday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And this is another episode of KJ's What Happened. And this is covering the last week.
So it's another Friday night.
And it turns out I haven't turned my volume down over here on one of my windows. So give me a second. There we go. That's better. The echo is never a good thing. So let me make sure I'm still sharing a screen with you guys. Everything's looking good. Looks good. All right, cool. Here we go. We're good. So welcome back. I'm KJ, and thanks again for checking out the show. I've got a lot of odd tidbits to share with you for the week. There's a couple big stories I left out because I'm putting them, or they're already in a new video. I've got a few videos I was working on over the week, and I'm just kind of waiting on a few more pieces to complete this puzzle, I guess you could say. But one of them has to do with Alexa. Has been acting really weird this week, laughing uncontrollably. I mean, this story went viral. Been acting really strange. Other things I found connected with all this. So that's coming in a new video. And the other one's about McDonald's turning one of their signs upside down. I'll be including that in something as well. So anyway, enough about me. Let's get started on what's going on throughout the week. All right. So here we go. The first one, it just made me laugh. I mean, I can't believe this, man. Russell Crowe selling jock straps, dinosaur skulls, and a chariot from Gladiator in a divorce auction. I mean, the jock straps really kind of stands out. I want a picture of the person that buys one of these jock straps, just because I need to see, what kind of person would actually purchase something like that. I have no idea from anybody. Jeepers. Crazy stuff, huh? So anyway, let's move on and see what else we got here. Oh, Richard Dawkins wants to eat human meat to overcome our taboo against cannibalism. Richard Dawkins, a famous atheist, I mean, among other things, but he's been in a lot of debates. Let's read a bit here. Richard Dawkins, the infamous atheism proselytizer, has mused about eating human meat. He says, what if human meat is grown? Could we overcome our taboo against cannibalism? An interesting test case for consequentialist morality versus yuck reaction absolutism. So cannibalism is profoundly immoral in Western culture, absent absolute necessity, such as when members of the Donner Party consumed their already deceased co-travelers to stay alive. It's from, I think they talked about that up here. It's an old case. Dawkins, of course, rejects the concept, considering it speciesist. He thinks we are just a collection of carbon molecules and certainly of no intrinsic value simply and merely because we are human. Therein lies the problem, right? When I see stuff like this, I mean, I'm not saying, I've known many atheists throughout the years. Some have been friends for different periods of time, when I was living in different places. And, the ones I met were really smart people. We just had to kind of avoid that subject because anytime we'd get into it, there'd be like more than debates. They'd get a little bit passionate. So to maintain friendships with some of these people throughout the years, we just had to kind of steer clear of the subject, or just agree to disagree on things, so, and it's tough. That's why it's tough to yoke yourself with a non-believer in any way, if you're a believer. But I also try to get along with all everybody, in this world, so, but anyway, so I'm not speaking on all atheists, but, I just see something like this is just a gradual corruption, I mean, that's just my opinion, but if you don't believe in God, at the very least, if you don't have Christ, which is what I believe is the key, then, we devolve, I feel, if you're not following these spiritual paths, if you're not building a relationship with your Heavenly Father, I mean, we devolve and turn into something like this, getting into that now. So this one's pretty crazy, and as you can hear, Chubbs is on the loose, so I may have to lock him up. We'll see how he does, but we'll see. He's already made a few announcements over there, so I'll keep an eye out on Chubbs. Anyway, this one right here just goes to show you more of the thought police type stuff. The term marijuana is rooted in racism, they're saying. I think he plays music in this, and I have to be careful of that. Two of my shows have been claimed because of a little music in the background on videos and stuff like that. So I think it just kind of spells it out. Let's just watch this for a second. Oh my goodness. But do you see we don't need to watch a whole lot of that, to kind of get the message, but it's a war on words. It's a war on reality. The world really is turning upside down in so many ways. This one's just some wild footage I wanted to share with you. I did a recent video where I covered some paranormal things happening in Belarus. Well, this is also from Belarus, and this is from a few years ago. But anyway, as I was looking up stuff in Belarus, I found this, and I thought it was really crazy. I've never seen anything like this, so check this out for yourself. Not that. There we go. There we go. Now watch. Isn't that crazy? I mean, this was a big viral thing. I guess I missed it, but wow. Wow. Crazy stuff. Anyway, moving on. Okay, give me a second, guys. Chubbs went in his room. I'm going to shut the door on him. There we go. I usually try to do that before the show, but I keep hoping he's going to come around. But anytime I'm talking anywhere in a room and it's to someone or something other than him, he just goes crazy. So that's kind of, I saw it starting up, so I stopped it when I could. But anyway, dozens of cut off hands found dumped in the snow. A bag with 52 severed hands was found on a river island outside the city of Khabarovsk, I'm not sure, in Russia's Far East. Investigators say the gruesome find was not the work of a rampant serial killer, but the result of unlawful negligence. The chilling discovery was made by local fishermen who initially stumbled upon one hand sticking out of the frozen ground. They called police, who promptly arrived and uncovered a whole bag of human limbs, some partly decomposed and lacking fingers. Disturbing images that were sent anonymously to several local outlets and appeared on Instagram and Telegram have caused much distress and speculation. Anyway, they blurred it out, but there's that. Kind of a blurred out picture of it. Some of the more gruesome versions, though, included, in particular, ritual killings, cannibalism, and human organ trafficking. So are these more signs of witchcraft, right? And ritual killings, satanic ritual abuse. Yet Russia's investigative committee seems to have solved the mystery, writing on its Telegram channel that the biological objects are not of criminal origin, but were disposed of in violation of the law. Well, there's that. Perhaps, that is the official story, right? But is it the truth? Who knows, right? So I thought that was interesting. I want to share. How about this? Obamas are in talks to create programs for Netflix. A lot of people, it's probably an understatement. I should probably find a better word for that, but multitudes, there's multitudes of people that believe he's the Antichrist, and that soon he'll take his position on the world stage. It'll all be revealed, right? As much as people can all speculate or even say, no, whatever. Well, there's time a coming. Well, there's a time a coming where there'll be no more question. It's just all going to be out in the open. So it's interesting. I've done a lot of videos on this subject myself. It's interesting stuff. Don't even get me started. But Obama's in talks to create programs for Netflix. So I wonder what kind of, quote, programming, because you're being programmed. I wonder what kind of a program they're going to have for us. It'll be interesting. We'll see. Netflix may soon add 2 high-profile names to its roster of producers now creating programming for the streaming service. Former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama are reportedly in talks with Netflix to produce a series of shows. The proposed deal would call for the Obamas to create exclusive content for the streaming service. According to the paper, the opportunity would give the Obamas a new global platform since leaving the White House in January 2017. Excuse me. Take a drink here. I had to wet my whistle, as they used to say. As the kids say. I don't think the kids say that. Topics for the Obama's programs could include health care, voting rights, immigration, foreign policy, and climate change. Climate change, of course. So it'll be interesting. It'll be I'm sure many of us will be doing videos on whatever programs come out from the Obamas. So we'll see. Another UFO video. I try to include the channel when I'm looking at it, so you guys can go to this channel here if you're interested. Modern Galaxy puts up a lot of cool footage. So here's one from France, apparently. Let's see what's going on over here. And these are they're the shape-shifting kind. You'll see these start shape-shifting and changing colors as well. It's interesting stuff. But I believe these are astral beings. These aren't ships. Ain't no steering wheel inside that thing. I believe they're beings. Some good footage. It's a long shot. I'd really like to be able to record something like this myself sometime. It'd be interesting to have a sighting, of something. So this is I'm going to save this one. I like this one a lot. This one's really interesting. DARPA aims to stop biological time to save wounded soldiers. And what they're talking about, and this is biostasis, or basically cryogenic type freezing. Biostasis. Technologies developed through the biostasis program can be applied to extend the shelf life of blood products or biological reagents and drugs. While it's still in the early days, by the end of the 5-year program, DARPA says it hopes to have made tangible progress in preventing death following injury or infection on the battlefield. So the technology's starting point is nature. The statement notes the wood frogs can survive being frozen completely solid for days on end. So that's where the experiment is. Biostasis hopes to apply these common biochemical concepts to human body cells. So this is like right out of science fiction. Again, we see this all the time. And that's what predictive programming is. And also social engineering is out there as well. It's kind of setting the public up for stuff like this. Excuse me. This one's from Mavi 777. They do some paranormal UFO type videos too. Get sent a lot of interesting stuff. But this is a luminous sphere moving around at ground level in Russia. So it's hard to say. Some of the, this one, it's hard to say. Probably make up some excuses for it or whatever. But we've seen things similar like that floating around in the skies for years. Whatever that is, that's a big orb. It's interesting. It'd be crazy to see that, huh? In real life. I don't know if I'd be able to stand there and record it. I might just freak out, Spotify launches a new hub dedicated to highlighting social causes in music. And this is just more of that divisive stuff. They're basically doing a thing where, let's see, we'll read some. Spotify has launched Amplify, a new online hub that will serve to highlight and bring attention to various communities throughout the year. Different causes Amplify plans to focus on include mental health, LGBT rights, immigration, and gender equality. So, this is more of the really part of the social religion of the New World Order. All of this gender confusion, and they're turning from what's normal to what's not, and vice versa as far as the morals go, or what's seen as moral nowadays. This is really, it is a time where everything that was once good is considered bad, and vice versa, right? It's the as above, so below paradigm playing out all around us. Anyway, and also just more divisive type politics, when they get into this stuff. I mean, couldn't you just leave the music alone and just have all the great, music up there, and then let us, pay our fees or whatever it is to Spotify and listen to what we want to listen to, and not have, social justice type stuff. This all this is. This is a really old story, but I don't know. I stumbled on it this week and I thought it was interesting. But did you know about this? There was a thing called Eater. I thought this was a joke at first. I started looking around. There's a lot of other places that covered this as well. It's not just like a one-off type story, but it was a military robot that was supposed to be able to eat humans. We completely understand the public's concern about futuristic robots feeding on the human population, but that is not our mission. And but anyway, I thought it was interesting because DARPA was involved again. So DARPA is involved in a lot of this stuff. But anyway, they kind of poo-pooed the story, and it's all gone now. But just crazy that was even a story there for a while where people were concerned that they were creating these robots that would eat human flesh, which is that's nightmare fuel, if I've ever heard it. That's freaky stuff. This is really interesting. Just wanted to kind of share the picture. This is from Paranormal Crucible channel. And I've done a lot of videos in the past on light beams throughout the world. It's an interesting paranormal thing happening. Sometimes it's just ice crystals. It just depends on where it's at, but they don't all look the same. They don't all look like this. I've seen the type that look like this, and then you'll see the type that, are probably just ice crystals, or something to do with photography or something. But this is really crazy, man. It looks just like a beam, coming straight down. I think there's a really good one from Japan as well that was like this, just like a solid, huge beam like that. And I don't know. Do you remember the War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise? It was like a remake from several years ago. But the aliens in that one, they came to the Earth, like they came down like lightning, like Satan fell like lightning, but they came down like lightning. And then like it looked like that, and then it would kind of get buried in the ground, and they stayed there for a long time until it was time to rise from the pit, really, if you want to look at it like that. So that's kind of what that was. So when I saw this beam, it made me think of that as well. Not that that's exactly going to play out, but you can see the themes playing out with other things, even a Bible prophecy, the pit being opened, Satan falling from the sky like lightning, right? Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. So moving on. Man declared dead wakes up moments before autopsy. There have been a few stories like this over the last few weeks. It seems like I covered this a few weeks ago from another, it's a different story. A man who died in a car crash in India reportedly woke up moments before his autopsy. The autopsy was just about to begin on the gentleman who had been pronounced dead by doctors before a pathologist detected a pulse. The man had been seriously injured in a car accident. After his condition worsened in the hospital, he was first declared brain dead and then medically dead. He was kept in the mortuary overnight before the planned post-mortem. The doctor said the man continues to be brain dead and still needs treatment. The man was declared brain dead, and upon his arrival, his respiration was dysfunctional and the pulse was also missing. However, his respiratory organs began responding this morning. At times in brain dead patients, the heart and the respiratory system stop functioning transiently, which seems to be the case here. The gentleman is still brain dead. Thus, we have referred him to Nagpur due to lack of sufficient facilities locally. Okay. So, again, it's just, we've seen the seeds of this stuff coming for years. A lot of us have been talking about it. And this is where we go. This is that downhill slide. You let one thing in that's bad for humanity or bad for the people as far as laws and things like this go. And that covers a multitude of different types of laws, but just things that are bad or against God, right? And then there's more coming after that. And then there's more, and it just becomes a flood, eventually. And this is where a lot of this kind of stuff is leading with, again, a lot of the sexual confusion and all this other stuff that's being pushed right now. Toxic masculinity, again, the flip-flopping of the sexes and roles and everything, right? It's all just, the world's trying to make it all very confusing now. But anyway, so then you have this. France to set legal age of sexual consent at 15. So, yeah.
Forget the idea of seeing is believing. New technology is making digital media manipulation.
Let's check this out.
And easier than ever.
The result, phony videos that are popping up online. CBS 2's Natalie Dudridge has the story.
You may have seen this video circulating the internet, ostensibly of former President Obama delivering a speech that he never actually made. It's part of an online video trend called deepfake, and it's hard to tell what's real and what's not.
It's very concerning because as people get better with this software, they will be able to not just put celebrities, they will be able to put like their neighbor, in a video and compromising that person.
Pereira is the vice president of a cybersecurity firm. He says in recent months, the videos started appearing on an online forum called Reddit, created by a program called Fake App. It superimposes videos like this of actor Nicolas Cage's face on another character's body.
And they break your face down into smaller and smaller pieces and then overlay the picture you want, like a Nicolas Cage's photograph, on top of that.
Until recently, the artificial intelligence video technology was only used by major Hollywood productions. But social media apps like Snapchat have made this face morphing technology all too easy. Tech experts are worried it could have serious moral implications, like framing people for crimes, or most recently putting celebrities' faces on X-rated actors.
If they're putting it on like porn stars or something, like that could be detrimental to some people's careers.
In general with technology, it just kind of like freaks me out.
Reddit took steps to ban a number of deepfake groups that had tens of thousands of members. But tech experts say people are still accessing the tool on the dark web, and everyone should be wary of the digital media manipulation. Now,
that's crazy stuff, though, right? I've covered some of that in the past as well, but I think this stuff works on a lot of levels. They push these stories as well, I think, just to kind of feed into that just confusion of everything, right? Because everything's being confused, it seems like now. There's so much confusion and flip-flopping, and sometimes it just feels like people are losing it, right? more than usual. I think I've got some stories about that tonight too. But yeah, you know, I mean, it could also be used as a tool eventually for more censorship too, you know. Even if you're not doing it, you know, maybe people can start claiming you are if you put up a video of somebody that you're talking about. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I don't know where the road could go with that, but it is interesting. And we know they have this technology, and you know, that's why we have to use strong discernment these days. You got to use all the tools you've got. You know, logic, reason, common sense, critical thinking, spiritual discernment. I mean, it takes all that, you know, to be able to see through just all this smoke and mirrors, you know. Google's helping the Pentagon. They haven't been very nice to their creators on YouTube, but Google is helping the Pentagon build AI for drones. Cool. That doesn't seem creepy to me at all. This was just really rough. Abandoned puppy found in Atlanta with head fully covered in duct tape. This is a rough one. Let's see, I think the video's wanting to play. Just like, you know, when I see stuff like this, I think, you know, what kind of a human being would do that, right? Seriously, you know, what kind of a person are we dealing with here that would do something like that? It's so cruel. I would hope it's not a kid. I don't know. An officer responding to a call about a black dog with tape around its mouth found the puppy curled in a ball near Hollywood Road. The Atlanta Police Department officer noted that the animal's entire head was completely covered with a thick layer of silver duct tape starting from its neck to the very tip of its nose, preventing her from breathing at all. That's so just wicked, man. The puppy was wearing a blue body harness and appeared to be in good nutritional health, but her snout was completely covered, and the dog appeared not to be able to breathe. The officer removed some of the tape so the puppy could breathe again. Fulton County Animal Control arrived and said a veterinary physician would remove the rest of the tape. Good for that police officer. The APD's Animal Cruelty Liaison Officer, a sworn police officer position created last year for investigating animal cruelty crimes, was notified. Lifeline Animal Project members who named the 7-month-old puppy Eve said she's a loving, happy puppy who is recovering well. That's good to know. So Eve did good. She made it out all right. Anyway, so horrible. To think who would do something like that. Here's kind of what I was talking about. Look at this. This guy, they didn't even know each other. There were people that were on the subway, and they said these two guys, there was really no interaction. One person said that they heard this guy that does the beating say, "Are you looking at me?" to somebody at one point. But I guess then they get off of this subway and everything seemed normal. And then this dude just flips and starts beating this stranger. Like there was really nothing. All the people that were on the subway said everything was normal. They didn't see any interaction between these guys. And then this thing happened. What possesses, right? What possesses someone?
So father is dead after a vicious attack just outside of his building, and police say a crowd.
Anyway, what possesses someone to do something like that? Anyway, people just losing their minds, you know? A new set of laws will result in taking away parental rights and forcing the gay agenda on most vulnerable of children and adults. California's bill AB 2119, backwards 9/11, would legislate only gender-affirming health care into the state's foster care system, in addition to strategies to increase family acceptance, quote unquote. This bill allows for the use of puberty-blocking drugs, as well as cross-sex hormones and cosmetic surgery on children in the foster care system. The same law bans an attempt aiming at aligning a child's or non-minor dependent's assigned sex at birth and gender identity. And people wonder, why I think that we're in the end times. I mean, this is just one example. Especially when they start going after the kids. They start going after the little ones. I believe God's got a special place on his heart for all of us, obviously. I believe that. I know that. But the kids, the kids, I know he keeps an extra special eye on them, on the little ones. And we start seeing stories like this, and I know that that's got to be upsetting him, to say the least. I think I'd covered this one already. This is an older story. I just kind of, if you haven't heard, Italian archdiocese rocked by scandal, drugs, gay prostitution, blackmail. So this has been happening for a while, but these guys are totally getting exposed, obviously, and it's a great thing. I mean, but it's not just them, it's everybody, everything. That's what I believe is everything is, quote, being exposed now, if you will. But I mean, the veil's really lifting and the truth is coming out in all these areas, politics, religion, and everything else. So everyone's being exposed. These people are finally, right? Pentagon's mysterious project breathes new life into UFO research. So Leslie Keene, who's an investigative journalist and author, says it's completely rational to be interested and to try to figure out what's going on with this. Keene co-authored a stunning article in the New York Times late last year that revealed the existence of the Pentagon's secret project to investigate unidentified flying objects, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Months later, this is still earth-shaking news to those eager for the truth. That's because the last known government program to investigate UFO encounters, the Air Force's Project Blue Book, officially ended almost 50 years ago in 1969. So yeah, Space Wars, perhaps, you want to call it that. Again, just more of this stuff just out of control. Segregation at Comic-Con. I went to a Comic-Con in San Diego years ago. I guess probably 10 years ago or maybe longer. It's been a long time, but it was really cool, before I was really, awake, so to speak, I was really heavy into pop culture, and I'm still in it, but just for a different reason now. I make videos about this stuff now, but I was always into comics and movies and all that stuff, right? So, but segregation at Comic-Con, no straight white males allowed at parties with the all-gender restrooms here, okay? The comics industry seems to be doubling down on their policy of completely excluding anyone who is straight, white, male, or conservative. This year's Emerald City Comic-Con released its schedule of events on its app recently. Anyone who is male, white, and identifies as heterosexual found himself excluded from the industry mixers and professional mixers.
Developing right now, 3 suburban daycare teachers are arrested. Police say they gave children gummy bears with something. Developing right now, 3 suburban daycare teachers are arrested. Police say they gave children gummy bears with something extra to make them sleepy. CBS 2's Suzanne Lemonniot joins us live from Des Plaines with the story. Suzanne.
Well, Rob, the teachers told police they thought giving the children, 12 of them, melatonin gummies would be okay because you can just buy them over the counter. Well, now they're charged with battery and endangering the lives of the children in their care.
this is just a horrible case of bad judgment.
Des Plaines Police Chief William Kushner talks about the alleged actions of Jessica Hayes, Ashley Helfenbein, and Kristen Lauletta. All three work here at Kitty Junction Daycare Center. The owner and director of the center called police after finding a bottle of melatonin gummy bears in a classroom.
They had gotten information that one or more of their teachers was providing melatonin-laced gummy bears to the 2-year-olds in order to get them to facilitate their naps.
Police say they don't know how long the teachers had allegedly been giving the 2-year-olds in their care the gummies. So a bottle containing 120 gummy bears, only 4 were left in the bottle?
That's correct.
Police contacted all of the parents with children here, among them Eddie Kulasic. His 2-year-old son attends the daycare, but told his dad he was never given gummy bears.
And when they called me, as soon as they said they're at the school, I mean, my heart dropped. I didn't know what to think. Shocking.
Now, police say no children were hurt that they know of, even though this product should not be given to any children under the age of 16. And the daycare center, they are cooperating with police. They had no comment to us here. DCFS, meantime, is doing their own investigation. DCFS also saying they have had no prior violations mentioned about this facility.
Wow. Can you imagine? I mean, for the parents out there, can you imagine if you found this out about a daycare that was taking care of one of your kids? Flippy the Burger flipping robot is now cooking at the Cali Burger fast food chain. So again, that's kind of the post-human existence, right? Replacing workers with robots, right? All around the world working on that. Even bringing in sex robots. This is just a, like, duh. Iranian Supreme Leader demands Americans disarm. Duh. Of course he does. Jimmy Kimmel says, wiener free. I'm not allowed to, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the P word anymore, but wiener free. Wiener's probably safe. Oscar statue is Hollywood's ideal man. This guy, man. Do you ever watch The Man Show? Some of you may be quite a bit younger and you didn't know about this, but that's, you know, it's one of the places he got his start. It was on Comedy Central. It was called The Man Show. And it was everything dedicated to really the stereotypical idea, you know, of a guy, right? Just, you know, beer and boobs, bro, you know, stuff like that. But at the end of the show, they always had women jumping on trampolines, like in slow motion. So girls scantily clad jumping on trampolines in slow motion. That was like the end of every show, you know? So I'm just saying, you know, that like he used to be a little more kind of crude and edgy, you know, back in the day. And now he's just like a total, you know, kind of a cuck, you know, really, or a simp, or, you know, a beta, you know, or a soy boy, you know, I don't know, whatever term you want to put on there. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I used to be able to watch his talk show way back, just a little bit. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I just can't watch any of them because they're all the same. All these guys, anytime you tune into a monologue on a late night American talk show, it's all like they're on the same script. It's just bashing Trump stuff. And like, even if you're not a fan of Trump, it's like, you know, like, because I'm kind of apathetic with politics myself, but even with that, like, you just get tired of it. Even if they were doing it to Obama or even someone on the left, which they would never do, like every night, you just get tired of hearing them just bashing the same person, you know? There's a nasty spirit behind that anyway. But so it's that stuff, and it's just, you know, a lot of social engineering, you know, a lot of the LGBTQ type agenda stuff, and toxic masculinity, and a lot of virtue signaling and all this stuff. So anyway, that's what it is. I showed a story, I think it was last week, about pet cloning. Barbara Streisand, $50,000 cloned her dog. But pet cloning is not just for celebrities anymore. After photographer Monty Must's 28-year-old daughter Mia committed suicide while in the midst of an abusive relationship, the grieving mother adopted Mia's spunky black Labrador Billy Bean. Last year, as the 10th anniversary of her daughter's death approached, the dog was nearing 13 and becoming increasingly feral. I knew that I was falling apart, said Must. The thought of Billy dying was just more than I could handle, so she decided to clone her. She paid more than $50,000 for what is essentially an identical twin of Billy, born at a later date. I have three other daughters, and they thought I had completely lost my mind. Cloning animals is hardly new. The first major success was Dolly the sheep, born in 1996 as the first mammal cloned from an adult cell. In 2005, researchers in South Korea cloned the first dog. But the news this week that singer Barbra Streisand had cloned her dog grabbed international headlines and sparked fresh outrage from animal rights groups. PETA president Ingrid Newkirk issued a statement saying she would love to have talked her out of cloning, noting that millions of wonderful adoptable dogs are languishing in animal shelters every year or dying in terrifying ways when abandoned. Vicky Katranak, program manager for animal research issues at the Humane Society of the United States, agreed. Companies that clone animals are preying on grieving pet owners, giving them a false promise that they are going to replicate their beloved pet. Pet cloning doesn't replicate a pet's personality, she said, adding there is no justification for the practice. Anyway, interesting. Would you clone your pet? Again, just more of this, male, anything, not even just alpha, even just traditional type male traits. All this stuff is being pushed out, and mocked and ridiculed. Drag is a big FU to male-dominated culture. Eek! Oof. Whoa. Play titled Kill Climate Deniers launches theatrical run. Climate change is connected with Agenda 30, Agenda 21. That's, the UN connecting with the Pope and connecting with the leaders of different countries. And they're all in this thing together. And that's just part of the New World Order religion. It's like Mother Gaia, Mother Goddess or Mother Earth worship. It's all this pagan stuff. All this stuff's coming back out. I've done a lot of videos on the Mother Goddess stuff, all the Mother Goddess type worship we see in entertainment and media all around us, and in movements, like Me Too. I showed connections with witchcraft and that, and witches. So, that's what we're seeing. It's just that on a big level now. It's all the cycles come back. This is where we're at. Thought police. A gunman's body lies on the street outside the White House after he shot and killed himself while Trump and Melania were in Mar-a-Lago. The White House was put on lockdown after a man shot himself dead at the North Lawn. The shooting happened at around noon and sparked panic inside. The staff were told to shelter in place. The man was pronounced dead at the scene. There's some video. NBC's White House correspondent Jeff Bennett tweeted, "We're sheltering in place at the White House briefing room. Reporter shots fired near North Lawn." There's people running. Let's see if he said anything, the guy, or if they have any idea why. And that's that. Really interesting one. It's from Google Earth. Somebody found this on Google Earth and they put it out. Oh. And I just want to show you. They're not saying, no one knows exactly what it is, but it's interesting. And they show different angles of it. on Google Earth. Look at that. Over East Lake, George. Wherever that is. Let's get that close up again. Weird, huh? I don't know. Some may say it's a balloon. I mean, a drone from the future. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know. I doubt that. Who knows? But it's an interesting catch, you know, so who knows what that weird orb is. It looks like a ship. Doesn't look like one of the beings type things we see, the light type orbs that can disappear and shapeshift and change colors. So I don't know. Thought I'd throw that out there. Court decision could lead to EPA banning water fluoridation, which would be a great thing. Might be some good news. A lawsuit against the EPA by Food and Water Watch, Inc. and a coalition of health organizations and individuals concerned about the fluoride in our drinking water was recently upheld when a judge in the Northern District of California denied a motion by the EPA to, quote, limit the information available to the court while making their decision on whether or not to ban water fluoridation. Interesting. So that's a good article. Check that out. That's at healthnutnews.com. It's kind of a long article, but that's good news. They can do that. That's good. Another one of those things out of the future. Saving this one. A special save on that. I like this one too. It's interesting. I see connections with other things here, but China using predictive policing to put thousands in communist education camps. So predictive program, or not predictive programming, but it's like, we'll put it down here. The individuals in question do not face any criminal charges. Instead, HRW states their government profiles indicate that they are likely to engage in anti-communist activity in the future. So pre-crime, that's what this is. It's pre-crime. And we saw that in that movie from Tom Cruise, Minority Report. Steven Spielberg made that one, I believe. But yeah, Minority Report, right? Pre-crime. Such a crazy idea back when that movie came out. Oh, man, what a crazy idea, man. That could never happen, man. Not in America, man, you know, and then, you know, here we are, you know, well, this is in China, but we know America's got all the capabilities as well. NSA running amok and all that stuff. People putting demonically possessed Alexas and things like that in their homes, you know, it's a crazy world. Demonically possessed AI. Racist gorilla statue to return to Texas playground after outrage from local residents. Did you hear about this? There's some pictures of it, but let's see. A much-loved gorilla statue that had been removed from a playground in Corsicana, Texas, following complaints it was racist, is set to return following outrage and protests from local residents. The gorilla, nicknamed Dobby, was taken from the community park following concerns from some citizens that it was potentially racially insensitive. I don't know if I get any big pictures of that. Gorillas are racist now, LOL, this guy says. What's its name? Dolby? Dobby. Let's see if I can find some pictures of Dobby. There it is. I don't know. Is that racist to you? That didn't even. It wouldn't even come to my mind to think that. I imagine most other people are like that as well. This just goes to show you, man. People are tripping. Dobby. Putin boasts military might with animation of Florida nuke strike. He says these missiles are invincible. This is a mock-up of the nuclear-capable cruise missile. And this is that narrative anyway, you know. He also showed an animation of the separate missile coming down on Florida. But, you know, war games, psychological games, narrative, Russia bad guy. Who knows what the next event will be blamed on, but I'm sure Russia's right up there in the running with as much as the media pushes all this major anti-Russian stuff, of course, out of CNN. So, you know, they may very well wind up being the fall guy, right? Who knows? Protocol or cowardice. Parkland student slams teacher over locked door during shooting. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It's a story that came out after this, you know, a little later after the story came out. But I was hoping there'd be a picture of the guy, but there's not. Anyway, just a headline, I guess. But one of the teachers apparently shut the door and locked it and left kids out in the hall. So there's that. Thought that was interesting. Interesting anomaly, sky anomaly happening in Argentina. Slow motion. See if that speeds up any. Very slow motion. So anyway, I think we get the gist. Katie Price, I guess that's a celebrity from England, but Katie Price reveals pictures of creepy demons in her Sussex mansion as she calls in a ghost hunter to help her track spirits. But again, this is just more people going. She talks about getting into a seance. Let's see here. First, I just want to show the pictures. That's some pretty creepy crap. She was taking pictures while she was ghost hunting in her home and apparently found some pictures like this, or something in the mirror looking back at her. That's her. It's another picture. Is that one again? Anyway, but in this, she's talking about you're doing a ritual. And a seance. I wish I could find that. Doesn't matter. It's in there somewhere. But just, you know, playing with these spirits. You know, I mean, I believe if you have Christ, you know, if you've accepted Christ, using, you know, Christ as the connection to our Heavenly Father, believe on, accept in, follow. I believe if you have the Holy Spirit, you know, the Bible tells us we have the power to, and this is, I know, some crazy stuff, but we have the power to expel demons. It's one of the manifestations of the Holy Spirit. I mean, that's heavy stuff, man. You know, it's heavy stuff. You know, it's heavy. But we know that's where the power is. It's through the name of Jesus. And we see these shows where they're just kind of playing around with it and it's cool. And, oh, look, there's a sound over there. Oh, something fell, you know, or whatever. Look, a shadow, you know. They're just like playing with these things they shouldn't be playing with. That's the way I see it, you know. But anyway, you can cast them out, but only through Christ. But I guess if they did that, they wouldn't have much of a TV show or whatever they're doing here. So I don't know. Just, gross. We had a gross Russell Crowe story, so here's a gross Sharon Stone story. She poses for her 60th birthday, like that. It's like, you don't need to do that. Have a little class, like school on Sunday. This lady, no class. Just saying. Girl 9 acts possessed during bizarre episodes after developing rare exorcist syndrome. Nikki Ashcroft said her daughter Amelia has hugged her knees while laughing hysterically and has randomly started shouting and screaming in public. The 9-year-old has now been diagnosed with PANDA, also known as exorcist syndrome. The condition, triggered by a severe bout of tonsillitis, causes symptoms including changes in personality, anxiety, tics, and OCD. Describing an outburst in Asda in November 2016, 33 always comes up. 33-year-old Nikki said, "We were in Asda and Amelia just started randomly screaming and shouting. I had to restrain her and hold her arms at the side. I was mortified and just thought, what has got into her?" She said, desperate for help, I videoed her during an outburst and posted it on Facebook in a disability forum. A lady messaged me some information about PANDA. I had never heard of it, but started Googling and realized Amelia had a lot of the symptoms. Amelia's toughest day with the condition came when she went to a meeting of her mom's slimming club. Nikki said, all of a sudden, she leapt up onto the chair and hugged her knees and laughed hysterically. I didn't know how to react. I tried to talk to her and calm her down, but she was sort of in a daze. We went out for dinner same day, and she sat in the corner and laughed hysterically there too. I was shocked again, and I just tried to calm her down. It was very, very odd. Another Putin, Russia, nuke. Putin confirms Russia has doomsday nuclear weapon in a wild speech to the nation. So the narrative, right? The march to war. Japanese government officially denies the existence of UFOs. Japanese Prime Minister and his cabinet staff issued the statement on February 27th. Petitioned the Japanese government to disclose any information on it had concerning the study of UFOs. Osaka's inquiry was an indirect response to the American government's secretive, we were just talking about that, AATIP, made public last year. While the request was made in the interest of the freedom of information, Abe's response was characteristic of most official responses to UFO issues. The Japanese government's official response stated that the existence of UFOs has not been confirmed, and military and governmental leaders have not made any particular consideration of how to respond should one fly into Japan. But still in the news, too, the UFOs. DARPA again. Look into DARPA if you don't know anything about it. Fascinating and frightening. A real-life science fiction horror movie in a lot of ways. DARPA wants to genetically engineer sea creatures into spies. Recent reports are now detailing what is called the Persistent Aquatic Living Sensors Program, aimed at formulating ways that fish, dolphins, and other sea life might be used in novel ways to track submarines and underwater vessels piloted by enemies of the United States. However, tracking enemy vessels isn't all the program aims to do. It apparently it hasn't rolled out using technology to, quote, modify, like they're going to do to humans, quote, modify the way some aquatic species would engage in underwater spying, which has evoked ire from environmentalists and animal rights groups, as well it should. According to DARPA's website, the Persistent Aquatic Living Sensors Program, PALS, PALS, led by program manager Lori whatever, will study natural and modified organisms to determine which ones could best support sensor systems that detect the movement of manned and unmanned underwater vehicles. PALS, gotta love that name. PALS, hey, we're all pals here, come on. PALS will investigate marine organisms' responses to the presence of such vehicles and characterize resulting signals or behaviors so they can be captured, interpreted, and relayed by a network of hardware devices. Anyway, that's the plan. Again, messing with these spirits. Thai government holds ceremony to rid offices of ghosts. They've ordered an exorcism on the building. I guess there have been some tragedies. Okay, sure. Yikes. Anyway. But it's the government. Government's having an issue with spirits. This is from Mr. MBB333. And this is really awesome footage. I'm not going to play audio here, but it's from Ecuador. And I really liked this footage because I just did a video on, quote, UFOs. And these aren't ships or orbs we're looking at anymore. They're weird signs like this in the sky, like almost signs from the heavens when I see stuff like this, I think. Even heavenly bodies up in the sky. We're seeing a whole new kind of thing happen over the last year or so with these kind of, quote, UFO sightings. But look at that. Isn't that crazy? It's illuminating upwards. And you actually watch it dissipate. So you know it's like a real thing, you know. See if I can jump ahead here some. There it is. So it starts floating up. It's beautiful. Whatever it is. Real low to the ground, right? Like it was touching the trees or touching the ground. And then there it is. It just starts to dissipate and fall apart. See? To where eventually there's just hardly anything left. Just showing that, you know, again, dinosaur media is another part of that fifth age, last age of man, you know, last biblical age, if you will. The time of the Antichrist rise and the true New World Order. But, you know, so all these old constructs of the age of Pisces, of the fourth age, are falling apart. It was an age of more order and reason and building. Now we're looking at everything falling apart and meshing and melting into one. So we're seeing all these old ways fall apart. Yet they fight so hard against people, you know, here on YT. We're just trying to share their truth, you know, what they're seeing in the world, and, you know, share what they believe is the truth. And of course, those people are being attacked and, you know, losing channels and stuff. But that's a part of it because these guys are dying. All these mainstream news groups are finally dying because they've been exposed for what they are. Just a little, I'm not going to play it, but just I wanted to share it with you because I've had people write me about this and talk about pineal gland and all that. And there's other sources, you know, I've read about and found throughout the years, even before YouTube. Okay. But here was a nice, succinct little video that gives you some good ideas about how to decalcify your pineal gland, if that's something you're concerned about. You should be. Most of ours are calcified. And that's why it's a big issue with fluoride in the water and some of the other chemicals they put in water, and it calcifies the your pineal gland. So if you want to check that out, I thought that was a good video from a channel called Modern Galaxy right here. Fastest way to decalcify your pineal gland, right? And this is, you know, it's not a huge story. The last story, Dennis Rodman praises Trump for agreeing to meet Kim Jong-un. So apparently Trump and Kim Jong-un are in the news. Kim Jong-un wants to meet Trump or talk to him. And then you have the weird Dennis Rodman factor, which I covered in a video on my channel about Dennis Rodman and his strange relationship with Kim Jong-un. I think it was on the website. But yeah, I did a video on this recently. There's some strange things going on there with this guy. So who knows what kind of a circus this is going to be, but it'll be interesting nonetheless, I'm sure. So I guess that concludes it. You know, it wasn't a super... an action-packed week in the weird, you know, to be honest with you. I was looking, but most of the time I was working on these videos, and Let me jump over here to the chat and talk to you guys for a little bit. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see everybody. I'm going to jump into the chat for a moment and say hi and just say thanks again for being here, man. I really appreciate you guys. Hey, Effie, thanks for being here. I see you got some of the mods are here tonight, so that's cool. Thank you. And that's it, though, man. Like I said, I appreciate you guys watching, as always. We'll do it again next Friday. I have a couple videos coming out over the next few days that are covering some of the weirder stories from this past week. So hang tight, okay? They'll be up here shortly. I am going to do a catching up with KJ show this week, so I'll probably do it in the evening, maybe midweek or something, so we can just hang out and chat. So if you guys have never been a part of a catching up with KJ show, come check it out. Be a part of that. Once again, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you taking some time. Big shout out and thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support my work, the videos, the website, and the channel, or in the show here, please check out my Patreon, check out my PayPal, check out my website. Got links there. There'll be links below. You can use a coupon code with my sponsors who are awesome, Silver Botanicals. They'll help you get those chemicals out of your house and then replace them with all natural products. Use capital KJO2018. You'll get 10% off. So thank you very much to Silver Botanicals. And that's it, man. God bless you guys. I love doing these shows. I feel like jumping in and chatting with you guys, but I got something to do later on this evening, so I think I got to go. But I will do a catching up with KJ show this week so we can hang out and talk. So until next time, man, y'all take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and I got new videos coming up over the next couple days, okay? See you later.